No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today we're tapping in with an up north legend, Big Tone, in the building.
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
How you feeling? I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, man. For sure. Yeah,
definitely. I've heard a lot about you. Like, as I've been interviewing more and more people this year, your name keeps coming up. So definitely, I think this is an important sit down.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, appreciate you opening doors for us. I seen you got a couple of my brothers, Lazy Boy, Bands, Rico. So it's a pleasure to be here, bro.
No, my pleasure. So unless I'm forgetting somebody, this is the first Antioch interview I've ever done.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe so.
The Yak.
The Yak. My boy did his homework.
I'm not going to be honest. I'll be honest. I'm not really comfortable saying the Yak. It doesn't feel cool coming out of my mouth, but I understand that's what you guys call it. Can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing and what it's like out there?
Yeah, so Antioch, California, we're like a little east of Oakland, you know what I'm saying? We're kind of, I always say we're like in the middle of everything. We're about an hour away from San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose. And really, man, just kind of, it was a small town at the time, turned into a city. And just kind of like any other little city growing up, get into some trouble. We had our little ways out there. And, I was fortunate enough to get in the music business, you know what I'm saying? And it took me another route. And, yeah, bro, other than that, it's been... it's been a journey, you know what I'm saying?
So when you were growing up there, did it feel like from a young age that this was a crazy-ass place with all kinds of shenanigans happening, or did that kind of come in later?
It kind of came in later, but it was there because it's such a small town. So when you walk outside, you're going to school, you see, obviously, you see you got the gang culture out there and stuff like that. And, I was always infatuated with that stuff as a youngster, but I was more into lowrider bikes. I had a little lowrider bike club, riding, deep with a bunch of homies on the old school bikes, bumping all these type of stuff. But of course, up north you got a lot of that gang activity. So yeah, we fell into that type of stuff. And yeah, if it's in your face, man, that's what you idolize. That's what you're looking at. So of course we kind of fell into that route. And people that know the history know what's up,
What were your parents like?
Man, I come from a pretty straight Mexican family, you know what I'm saying? Pops is a hard working steel worker, you know what I'm saying? Handled his business. Mom's old school Mexican. Yeah, man, I really don't have the super sad story, man. My pops did his thing to provide for us, but we didn't have a lot of dough, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of forced me to hustle, me and my sister, man, my big sis, we both grinders, we wanted more. So, yeah, bro, we always grinding, man. I would run around, try to mow lawns for money, wash cars, and one thing was there was also a lot of drug dealing and, stuff like that around. So I would see the dope boys get money, kind of intrigued me. So I got into that really young. So, obviously my mom's really, I would say Catholic, kind of old school Mexican, kind of broke her heart catching me selling dope young, you know what I'm saying?
What age did you first catch you?
17. I was still kind of in school. So got the boot, moved out, had my own little spot, already had a couple whips, had a little money in my pocket, so kind of was able to move and pivot from that, you know what I'm saying?
And were most people who were in the streets at that time, was it primarily focused around trapping? Or because I feel like nowadays when I'm talking to younger gang members or people who are in the streets or whatever, usually it's more focused around rapping / beefing with people on the other side of town. And if somebody is selling drugs, or if they do have a network of people that are making money hustling, it's almost like a separate endeavor from the street shit.
Yeah, no, most definitely. That's why I was kind of jumping around. So obviously it was separate. You had individuals that were straight on gangbanging, on the block. That's all they cared about doing. And then there was a separate set of individuals that didn't really trip on gangbanging. They were just getting money. You know what I'm saying? You're pulling up in nice cars, just getting money. So I was watching both. Of course, I was coming up with the homies, but I was also watching how the D-boys getting money, and I was intrigued with them, going to sit down and have nice dinners, you know what I'm saying, the way they were running around chirping on their Nextels, you know what I'm saying, rocking jewelry. So I was like, man, I was intrigued with that lifestyle. So I kind of took a little bit of both, dabbled in what they were doing, brought it back to mine, and so we were kind of rocking that style. I was young, pulling up in a pro-painted Cadillac on gold Dayton's already. I was still in high school, you know what I mean? Had a 96 Impala on gold ones on Zenith, so I took that lifestyle and brought it kind of and represented the homies with it, and meshed the best of both worlds.
Definitely. Were you always thinking about rapping, or when did that come in?
Man, not really. So I was already a little older, about 19 years old, and And I met an individual. I met a homie that was producing, and back then producers, you know, I think we're the same age group, so producers weren't as common now. Not everyone's making beats, you know what I mean?
Right.
So to have somebody that was making beats, I met him. His name was Kevin Knox, man, and we created our little label together. I was just intrigued with the damn, bro. You're making beats, and I never really rap. I was just on the boss side of it. Like, man, I could invest into this. And you know, most people know me through my brother Woodie that passed away. Rest in peace. But I did one song, showed it to my brother. He loved it, and the rest was history, man. I was in the game.
Wait, so when you start rapping though, like, who are you looking at as someone that you see as successful? Was there anybody that you knew who was really tapped in with the music industry, or was everybody independently hustling?
That was my boy Woodie I was just talking about.
Oh, so Woodie was the first dude that you knew who had a label deal and stuff like that?
Yeah, he was signed with Koch Records back then. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, because they were more like the independent thing, Jim Jones, and a lot of dudes, like, as the major label shit was kind of starting to crumble and everything was going online, there's like a lot of artists who were able to go to Koch Records and get a deal where they would be able to participate and get like a very large percentage of the profits. Yeah. And it was kind of had some of the benefits of being with a label, but then it was also separate from the major label.
They would shoot you some money and let you do your thing with it, you know what I'm saying? And but he had motion without the label. So like if you were a Chicano from Northern California and even beyond, like everyone was slapping Woodie. He was a real prominent figure in our culture, you know what I'm saying? So when he gave me the opportunity, and I was a fan of him before I met him, you know. So once I did cross paths with him, we became friends. He gave me my opportunity, and like I said, that helped me hit the ground running, bro.
Was he the first white Norteño that you met, or just one of the first? It's very rare, right?
See, we're in our section is obviously different than up here.
Right.
We got a mixture of people, you know. We got blacks, Mexicans, whites. So we had a few white homies, you know what I mean? And he was the most known for sure, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't just a rapper. He was known and respected in the streets beyond the rap, you know?
And was it like a personality thing? Like, did he just have that kind of charisma that made it clear to you that he was capable of being a celebrity, or was it more about him just being better at rapping and making music?
I would say both. Because I know a lot of individuals that could rap that just don't have that charisma, personality. So I would say both, you know what I mean? Because I would see people meet him and trip the fuck out, bro. They would look at him like they met, you know, Jesus, man. You know what I mean? I would see that as a youngster. Like, damn, bro, he has that effect on people. You know what I'm saying? So he did have that for sure.
So the white thing wasn't that big a deal to you, like that?
You look past that,
right?
Yeah, you would look at the individual. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Was he somebody who kind of made a name for himself in the streets, or as a rapper first?
Both.
Really?
But I mean, we didn't have social media, and even if we did, people didn't announce that shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now, I think now because of YouTube, they're doing documentaries and stuff like that. Now things are revealing itself, and people are seeing that the stories he was spitting about, and they're putting two to two together now.
Right.
So back then, of course, people don't. Hey, you're just a white boy rapping, or you guys are from Antioch, you ain't shit. But now the internet and all that, people are going back and, like I said, doing documentaries and stuff.
Right. There's a lot of people trying to make videos about the story of Woodie and everything like that. For sure, it's like a serious thing people are interested in now.
He's huge in our culture, man. He's very, very, very well. You know, he's our big dog. You know what I'm saying?
And like I always say when we're talking about like music from the 90s or the early 2000s, shit like that, it feels like rappers were like much less likely to put their real life criminal exploits in their music. But one thing that some of these documentaries point out is that Woodie was like embedding little pieces into his lyrics that were talking about real life situations that people probably didn't know about at the time. Like, were you conscious of that?
Yeah, he was intricate with that, man. He knew what he was doing, and he even said it in his raps. Like, I know detectives is trying to decode these raps. So that dude would play games. You know, it was real. So, you know, the police were on people. It was going down. So he knew how to maneuver it in a way he couldn't be prosecuted. And a song he did do where he was kind of creating a statement, he already went through trial and won it and everything. So they have that, whatever it's called, I can't think of the word of it, called
Double Jeopardy.
Double
Can't
Jeopardy
try you again.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. But so, okay, he tapped in with you after you had only made like a couple songs? Or? One song.
So it's a small town. We were already we were just young. Like I said, I was throwing the picture earlier. I was a young D-boy, chilling with the homies. We had our respect beyond our crew. And it's like it was a game recognized game. Once I met him, we just kind of hit it off, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, hey, what's up, brother? I respect what you do. He respected I hear about you youngsters out here. So when I did do a song, he was just like, man, you rapping now? I got to hear this. I pulled up on him. It was him and, at Mountain Mike's Pizza, him and Little Los, man. I pulled up, showed him the song, and he just told me, bro, I would love to get you on my next project. To me, I felt like I made it.
Wow.
I was like, shit, I'm on, brother. I didn't care about nothing else, but I'm on right now. And I just like, you know what, bro? I went and built a whole little studio, and I was like, let me perfect this a little bit better. I did kind of a better song, gave it to him. That song was actually one of the hits on his album too, so it did really well for me. It wasn't something he just put on and it got overlooked. That was one of the songs that ran it up, and heard a lot of people slumping it through the town. A lot of places I went, they were bumping it. A lot of car shows, they were bumping it. So it did good for me, bro. You know what I mean?
From your perspective at that time, how big was this sort of Northern California rap scene? Like, because now we're kind of like used to there being all this underground street shit that ends up getting millions of views and shit like that. But like, this is kind of like a new invention at that time. It's like relatively recent, in particular, it being so embedded in the streets and shit. It's like, this is something that was kind of new, it was kind of fresh. Like, from your perspective, was this something that you could become rich and famous for? Or was this more like just a real expression of your street lifestyle?
I think a little bit of both, but obviously if we could have been rich, like it could have blew up more, obviously it would have, right? But I think because like it was new, you know, anybody that's early on to something is going to get the most recognition before it gets, I won't say cluttered, but there's so many people doing it now. So it was huge, but like I said, we're taking it back to the late 90s, early 2000s when most Chicano rap or homeboy rap was kind of on some cholo shit still. You know, like that was the stilo back then with the music. And so when Wood came out, he came out just like spitting, gassing, because he would listen to the shit we listened to, a lot of Bay Area rappers, you know, the 11-5s and the Andre Nicotinas and the, you know, just the Bay Area stuff, you know what I mean? So he came in with that whole style, man, and it just like shocked a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And they weren't used to seeing that, you know, it was crazy.
Definitely. So do you relate to that conversation that we've kind of been having on the podcast a little bit about if the north of California is a little bit like in terms of the Chicano rap community, are you guys a little too influenced by the black community? How do you feel when you see people having that conversation?
I wouldn't even say influenced by the black community. It's just that it's just a culture thing, I would say. You know, like I said, because we have white people, we have black homies, we have Mexican homies. It's just, I can't explain it because I'm from a different time where we were kind of mixture of both. A lot of my OG homeboys were like super cholo. Listen to oldies, low riders. We rocked the Ben Davis and Dickies and Cortez. I used to baby cuff my pants. I was on low rider bikes. So I come from that culture where we were kind of mixed. We were somewhat cholo, but we were still talking a little Bay with it, you know what I'm saying? Of course, it's evolved to this time where the styles a lot changed, but that's just anything, styles always change, you know?
Right.
From Motown to disco to 80s to 90s to now, you know?
Right, definitely. So did you then become part of Woodie's label, or like how does your relationship kind of evolve from there?
I was always like, I don't like working under nobody. I was always my own boss. I built my own label. I built my own studio. I didn't really ask my brother for much, but advice, game, and a few verses, and that was it. I got my own production, my own. He gave me a lot of wisdom. This is how I'm distributing. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing that. And a lot of just education, man. But I wasn't sitting there waiting for like, what's next you're gonna do for me? You know, appreciate the opportunity. That's why we became friends. I didn't just need him. You know what I'm saying? It was more of a mutual. We kicked it way more than we did music.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Interesting. So were you so close to him that you were kind of involved in whatever types of shit that he had going on in the streets, or is that kind of like?
That's before my time.
Okay.
He was about 9 years older than me.
Okay.
So a lot of that stuff had transpired. A lot of his crew has already, I don't know if you did research, a lot of the people have already diminished, went separate ways, died, prison, all that stuff. And we were kind of the new wave coming in. That's why I feel like maybe it was refreshing for him.
Okay.
He was getting older. He lost a lot of his friends. Here comes some young homies with some game, you know what I mean? And kind of brought some new life to, he was already doing his thing, so I feel like it helped each other. He was up here, and it helped us come up there too, and we helped bring, you know, power with him too, you know what I'm saying?
In the lead up to him passing away, like how much communication did you guys have, or like what was your perspective on where he was at in his life?
I was talking to him to the end.
Okay.
I rock with bro to the end. You know, I don't want to get into too much details because there's a lot of unanswered questions on my end. I'm confused about a lot of shit, but he, you know, he was around some snakes. You know what I'm saying? And bro just, you know, bro lived a crazy life, man. The shit he rap about is real, And when you're a good dude and you live some real shit, sometimes that shit haunts you. You know what I'm saying? Anybody listens to his music, he's telling you the type of shit to go through. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. So are you in any way skeptical about the narrative that he took his own life?
Somewhat, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But there's nowhere for you to really go with that? There's like no way that you would be able to like uncover more truth?
I beat myself up going crazy trying to figure it out for years, you know what I'm saying? I have my you know, my thoughts, but that's just because, you know, my thoughts, man. So, yeah, I would beat myself up, so I try not to get into that too much down that rabbit hole because yeah, you're right. It'd be a dead end trying to figure that out, you know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. So when he passes, what's the reaction in your area? Like does it immediately?
Devastated, man.
Does he immediately become like the way that Nipsey Hussle kind of became for the '60s in LA and stuff like that? Does he just immediately become a symbol of the whole?
You know, the cool part is when you pass in your prime, you become like that. You know what I'm saying? When you're still booming and you're still rocking and rolling and you pass, that's how they remember you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he became that symbol for us still to this day. What, 16, 17 years now? You know, and you see, go right now. There's people still posting about him to this day. You know, he's still, you know, you know, we put him up there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Definitely. So does that kind of become part of your career then to like keep his name alive and like?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I've seen this so many times over the years of like once somebody passes, then it kind of becomes like, I guess it's not so much an opportunity, but it's almost like a responsibility for the people who are close to him to still perform his songs and try to keep his name alive.
Yeah. You got the people that try to leech off the name and try to just run with that, with the coattail stuff, and you got some people that were genuine friends of him that cared for him and were there, and he changed my life. Like I said before, music, I had no direction in life. I would have ended up like most of my homeboys. I would have ended up in prison or dead. The basic cliche, you know what I'm saying? And him giving me that opportunity and watching him that, hey, I could do the same shit as he's doing. Not on the same caliber, but it just gave me a vision and an outlet. And when he did give me the opportunity, it changed my life, man. I don't need to be doing this shit crashing out, man. I was enjoying going to the studio, cooking up with the homies. You know what I'm saying? I was sitting here with Big Bro Wood was an honor for me to sit here and make music with him. That gave me more pleasure than getting drunk on the corner. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't even think of this until the moment that you just called him Wood. But was his name a reference to like the Woods, like on a prison level?
His last name was Wood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm always kind of like referring to myself as a Wood, but it's like I don't have a prison background, so I'm just saying it. But okay.
You Wood, he had to, I think he had to deal with somebody. I don't know, because when he was doing some time, he had to probably deal with that, but that's before my time. But that was his last name, bro, so that's why they called him Woody.
Okay, makes sense. So are you saying that like up to the point where he passed, you were still a little too in the streets and that kind of made you want to take a step away? This was way already some years in, you know. What was your question?
Just
like at that time, were you still like you kind of made it sound like you took a step back from the streets at the time that he passed? Was that something that
I wouldn't say take a step back from the streets? We just weren't doing we just had something to work on. Just like any homies out here that got some shit going on, whether it's music, trapping, you know, any kind of business. It just gives you something to do other than just sit there and don't do nothing, you know what I mean? So it gave us a direction. We would chill. I had a little studio there. We would chill 30 deep at the studio. If you muted my first album, you'd hear nothing but drunk homeboys in the background, you know what I'm saying? So it gave us something to do, and it gave me a goal. Like, I could do this. If I become successful at it, it could open up more doors. And I was always been a hustler, you know, business orientated, so it just sparked that business mentality in me, you know what I mean?
Definitely. So do you feel like your career went up from there? Like at what point do you feel like you were kind of at your peak or the height of your popularity?
You know what's crazy is with the music, it's right at that time I was a new artist, but I was only marketing to gangbangers. That's all that. When I popped out in certain cities, it was love, nothing but from homies, but no one else recognized what we were doing. And I started doing different kinds of music, evolving, like mixing more R&B-ish into my music, and it started becoming more popular with like the females and stuff like that. So I would say, I don't know, the you know, the 2000s on up was doing pretty well, but I started evolving more into what I'm trying to do more is just more of a brand of myself, like not depending on music. And so, yeah, my music doesn't need to be the hottest shit smoking, but I do got a pretty good following on the fan base. There's a lot of love when we go out. So that to me means more than anything than actually just being a current hot artist, you know what I'm saying? Because you know as well as I know, that shit only has a short amount of time for every artist, you know what I'm saying? Unless they do something else with it afterwards.
Right, definitely. No, I was watching some old videos of like you at, you know, concerts and shit back in the day, and it's definitely like you had a little bit of a different energy. Like you definitely seemed like you might have been a little bit more inclined to trip on somebody as a younger man.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Yeah.
Have you kind of just seen yourself slowly like calm down a little bit and gain like a little bit more of an even temper? Or?
Yeah, life will humble you as you get older. You know what I mean? If you're smart, you know, you could stay there. I know plenty of homies that never they ended up where they ended up. I'm not a stupid person, man. If I continue to move this way, where am I going to end up? Like I said, I watch people. I'd watch these dudes. They're getting money, man. Oh, this dude's buying houses. This dude's buying properties. This dude's opening businesses. This dude's on drugs. This dude's going to prison in and out. This dude's a dope fiend. Which route am I going to follow? You know what I'm saying? I'm inspired by the homies getting money. I'm inspired by these dudes. So if I'm going to go out here and be a hothead and crash out every time, I know where I'm going to end up. Let me chill out a little bit, change my way of thinking, become more cool instead of trying to pop my chest out. You know what I'm saying? And you know, energy doesn't lie, man. If I walk in looking for trouble, most likely we're going to attract it.
And rap is a crazy profession because it's one of the very few pastimes or one of the very few areas of life in which even if you become successful, there's like pretty consistent pressure from the fans for you to do some crash out shit on a consistent basis. Like they want you to like prove that you really are who you say you are, / they want to see you do some dumb shit. And they'll criticize things that from an adult perspective don't even make sense. If they see you rolling around with security, they'll be like, oh, he's a bitch, he got security. Whereas to like anyone with a fucking brain, that's probably you just being safe about how you're moving around.
That's the cool part of this game is we glorify destruction. Right. Not even just rap, street shit. But then again, bro, like I said, I kind of grew up watching even just fascinated with like the Italian mafia, how they moved. They were businessmen. You didn't see Al Capone out there, Costa Nostra, man, you know what I'm saying?
But that is funny is that the younger generation of rapper, if you listen to rap from the 90s and shit, they're massively influenced by that shit, whereas you see very few rappers who've got like the fake Italian last name thing going on and shit, which used to be like a very consistent thing.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I feel like to me personally, this is my opinion, I respect being more reserved now. But like I said, I understand being young. And like I said, we glorify destruction, man. You want to sit there and inhale balloons and do all this bullshit, you know? Hey, cool, whatever. But some people look at that as cool, but that has a time limit where you're capped out. Then if you're still doing that at 40 years old, bro, now they don't look at you as cool no more. Now you look like a fucking bum, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So they got to see the evolution. But you're right, man. You know, people love pain, tormented soul. I seen a documentary about Rick James, and once Rick James got sober, his music fell off. They loved the part of Rick James. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Nah, definitely. You mentioned the balloons in particular, but it's like there's always shit like that, like where, you know, a 20-year-old drinking lean thinks he's the coolest dude in the world. Yeah. Realistically, by the time you get to 40 or so, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to find somebody who's still drinking lean on a consistent basis because it just your health up so bad.
Liver problems, this shit, be in the hospital, like, pray for me.
and for somebody like me, it would be very hard for me to like pick up drinking lean on a consistent basis when I could think of like Boosie interviews. I could think about all the shit Gucci has said about it. There's so many legends. When I think about how ASAP Yams died, when I think about all the health problems that Pimp C had, it's like I have infinite resources that I can point back to be like, that's probably not the right direction to go with my life. But that's like an integral part of youth, is that you don't want to listen to what your parents have to say or what your elders have already lived through.
Yeah, and I partied, bro. I kicked it when I was young, so I'm not going to say I was like this my whole life. You know, like I said, it took for life to humble me. I had friends overdose. I had homies that, like I said, bro, I lost a lot of people around me. When you see that, something's gonna click in your brain if you're somewhat smart. Like, bro, this shit ain't cool. This ain't it. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, obviously, like I got into more working out and stuff like that. I like to go to the gym, bust down. I always look up to the homies that were in shape, fit. They would come out looking swole. I was always that. Oh, that's the definition of a homie right there. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't looking at the dope fiend, scrawny homie, fucking shooting shit in his vein, you know what I'm saying? As that's the homie, you know what I mean? So I've always had that mentality too. That's what kept me kind of not steering away from a lot of that bullshit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, as you get older, like being healthy, eating good, working out is like how you keep yourself feeling young.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're young, a lot of people would look at that and like stigmatize it and be like, oh, he's on some musclehead shit, and that shit ain't cool.
I mean, you sit here with a lot of young artists. What's your opinion when you see that? Like when you see someone on here talking how they talk, do you look at them like, damn, you got a lot to learn, youngster, or you like, cool, yeah, that's dope?
Yeah, definitely like a lot to learn. Like, damn, I hope you make this transition well. But the problem can be when you're talking to somebody who it's obvious that the drug use or the smoking on ops or the crazy gang disses or whatever, that's like integral to their success. Like the fan base wouldn't really be as interested in them if they weren't doing all that shit. So I'm sitting there feeling like, I hope you are able to get past this like very dangerous period of your life, but also I'm kind of unsure how the fans would react if you were to just reject this shit right now.
People are probably more intrigued with the story than the music. Like, what are they saying about them?
Yeah.
They're more interested in the controversy probably more than the music. They're not solely dependent on their talent and their music. You know what I'm saying?
Whereas in the 90s or the 2000s, it's like you could kind of blur the facts, and it was like a little bit difficult for the fans to necessarily tell who's the super gangster dude and stuff. And that's one thing that worries me a little bit about living in this like YouTube essay era where everybody has all of their crimes and their criminal history documented online, is that even if you look at like the Chicago drill scene, which I look at as kind of like the forefathers of like modern telling on yourself ass gangster rap music, a lot of those dudes, the dudes who blew up and became super famous, when you do your homework and you really look at like who was alleged to be catching bodies and shit like that, it's not really the dudes who became famous for rapping. Now it feels like the city is probably not going to necessarily get behind a lot of artists unless they have that kind of reputation, and the audience is capable of figuring it out much better than they were able to in the past, which that's a scary sign of events, because you have a lot of dudes who you see them kind of like blowing up as a rapper, and within a couple of months somebody kills them. And it's just like that like the whole process has been sped up so much.
Because people can't separate the lifestyle from the business. There's a point where, to become respected as a rapper and a street rapper, you have to come from the streets. You got to be from that soil. But there got to be a time where you become a businessman. It's just a part of evolution. Growing up, like I said, if you're the same dude at 40 years old when you're 20, there's no evolution on you besides a little extra some money. You know what I'm saying? So there's got to become that point, because we do have rappers that have done that. We do have in our section the E40s and the Burners and the Too Shorts. You know what I'm saying? You do have the Jay-Z's and stuff like that in different areas, and I'm sure all across. They knew how to transition from, okay, now I'm running a business. I don't need to do the dumb shit to keep showing you I'm a tough guy. You know what I mean? Well, at what point do you got to be like, look, bro, this is shit, we got opportunity here. Let's get some money.
Tell me your thoughts on this, though. Is that recently I was doing an interview with somebody, and they mentioned something along the lines of like, a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old who's in the streets is not going to listen to a 40-year-old, but they'll listen to a 25-year-old. They'll listen to somebody who's a little older than them, but they're not going to listen to somebody once you get to a certain level of adulthood, which is a shame, but it also does seem like that's mostly true.
I kind of beg to differ on that, because, and this is just my personal experience, me, when I mingle with the little homies, I'm not one of those dudes that turn my back on my people. I don't do the dumb shit I used to do. I don't portray myself like I'm that type of dude anymore. But I still pop out and I communicate with my youngsters. I'm still in the mix, and the respect is there. They soak it up. I give them game on how to move. They see like, okay, obviously there's levels to the shit. I got a lot of room to grow. But hey, I see how you're moving, bro. You just invested in that. You got this, and they ask questions. They're intrigued. So it gives them something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion. Like now, if I would have been just like, hey, I gave up the lifestyle, you kids change your life, they would have been looking at me like, yeah, you a sucker, bro. We ain't hearing you. But I'm right there with you, my boy. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you how we do this, So I think it's on the messenger, man. You know what I mean?
And somebody was telling me the other day that it's not just about telling the kids what they need to hear once. It's about telling them over and over and over, because that's just how a young person's brain works, is that if you tell them to stay away from the streets, or tell them to be careful in such a way or whatever, if you tell them one time, it's very unlikely to work. You have to kind of keep reinforcing that year by year.
I think you got to show them more than tell them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Telling them is just words. You got to show them something, because then why am I going to look at you if you ain't doing nothing with yourself? You're telling me do this, but you ain't doing nothing with yourself, so you got to show them you're doing something. You know what I mean? By action. Yeah.
Definitely. From your perspective these days, Antioch, how connected are you to that music scene, or how do you feel about that? Because it feels like up north, it's like every different city has like a handful of people representing them, et cetera. And I'm sure the music scene has changed dramatically, but how do you view that and your influence on it?
Man, Antioch is such a small city now to music. We still have people out there doing their thing. We do have like are you familiar with like Mike Sherm? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a pretty big artist from our section.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Simba, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Okay.
As far as like Northerners and Chicanos and stuff like that, there's a lot of aspiring people, but it's hard to break through these days. It is a cluttered market, you know, but we got a lot of people out there that are talented. It's just harder to be seen than it was in our days, you know what I mean?
Does it feel like it's harder to be seen? Because sometimes when I look at the way that some dude from a neighborhood is able to like put together a decent looking music video and it could get hundreds of thousands of views in a short period of time, it feels like it's almost easy to get seen, but it's like the algorithm kind of has to shine upon you the right way, I guess.
You're right. It's easier to be seen, but it's easier to become to really grasp a fan base, to be successful after that one video that might have went up because people were trolling and banging and that banging and whatever went after that video. Because you might get a video that got 5 million views because everyone's talking shit on it and it's getting controversy, but what's following up after that? You dropped the music video after that, no one cared. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I meant. It's hard to be build actually a music career off of that. You know what I'm saying?
But from your perspective, how do you see the current sort of climate in which it's hard for rappers to get attention unless they're talking about super street shit and essentially telling on themselves / talking about things that, you know, prior generations would not have supported them speaking about in songs or on the internet?
It's tough. It's a pissing contest. Who's tougher? You, fuck him. It's who looks the hardest, and it's just like I said. I think people are intrigued with, okay, these dudes gas these dudes. Let's listen to their ops now. You know, it's people are more interested in the controversy, and it's just appealing. I mean, I grew up listening to gangster rap. I didn't want to hear no positive shit when I was young, so I understand that's the music industry. I don't know, some in our brains that gravitate towards that, bro. We just people just love it in the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. But like, do you still work with younger artists, or would you sign an artist who was on that kind of shit, or is that kind of
I
not
still work with
appeal to you
artists.
at this
Yeah,
point?
I mean that shit don't stray me away from nobody. Why would I be like, hey, bro, that's contradicting myself how I grew up. I work with every one of the homies you had on here so far. Those are my people. You know what I mean? These are people I talk to all the time, bro. You know, I don't shy away from that because that's our lifestyle and our background, and that's what they're doing. They're telling their story and how they live. You know, why would I shy away from that? Now, like I said, when it's a one-on-one time with these artists, I try to give them some different guidance. You know, okay, this is what's working for you right now. I'm thinking 5 years ahead. You interview a lot of people that are booming. How many people stay booming 5 years from when they went up?
Yeah, it's like some small percentage of the time you end up with like a really uplifting, inspirational story about like, damn, this dude, I gave him an interview when he had 20,000 followers, and now look at him, he's got millions of followers and he's making all this money, he's doing great. But then more often than not, there's the interviews that people don't really remember that well, or the ones where the person's life goes in a catastrophic direction, and you end up just looking at the interview like, damn, that's kind of a sad story.
Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man, homie.
Damn, homie is right, yeah. But I don't know. It's like it's crazy because like interviewing underground rappers, in particular street rappers, it is like it's just a roll of the dice. Like if you interview 100 dudes, you're probably going to have like 5 that achieve some legitimate amount of success, and then, you know, a large percentage of the rest of them might go a different way.
The ones that achieve that success, they obviously got to do something outside of rap.
A lot of times. Yeah.
Most of them. Because, all right, could you name, I'm curious, name an artist that you know that's achieved a lot of success, that's been around the past, say, 4 years, that's like still just crushing it on numbers and everything. I'm just curious to know. I'm really.
A lot of times it becomes kind of like, you know, you go from having this like extreme upward trajectory towards you have to develop like a grind, like a consistent workflow, et cetera. I look at somebody like OGZ from Shoreline Mafia,
in my mind for sure.
who like pretty much the most like influential Mexican group from LA in the last 10 years, or really maybe ever. And they come out, shout out Cypress Hill, but they come out and they do their thing and they have this like explosive moment. And then once that kind of levels out, somebody like him has to figure out like, okay, how am I going to make X amount of dollars per month so that I can keep this lifestyle and continue this thing on? And that's when you really kind of start to see who's got legs in their careers once you stop having your viral moment and you have to figure out how to have a consistent moment, you know?
That's crazy because that's probably one of the only names I'm thinking from out this way that I could think of, you know what I'm saying? Because like when we go back our way, we do have individuals that done well for themselves. You know, you go think of like the Burners that did music and created one of the biggest, you know, cannabis companies, you know what I mean?
That's
I got a lot of individuals like E40 did the wine, you know what I'm saying? My brother AWAX right here, he's got a very successful business on what he does outside of music. And I see that, so when people utilize the music to help promote their brand, I think that's how they stay more in the mix. Because eventually people are gonna get tired of hearing your voice. I just, it sounds up, but it might be a cool 5-6 year run, but eventually the next generation to come up and be like, damn.
You have to have real artistry to survive on just your music. Like a name that comes to mind when I talk about Northern California is like pretty much Mozzie's like kind of the blueprint for how you can just really be focused on the music and remain relevant for all those years, which when you think about it, 10 years ago, for you know the average viewer, we kind of get introduced to Mozzie and this crazy ass story about all this beef and crazy diss songs resulting in killings, etc. And that only is really going to like fuel your career for so long. For him to be able to still be so popular years and years later, that's a different skill set.
Yeah, that's a perfect case in point where people like to see evolution. If you would have just capped out on that street shit, it would only went so far. But there was evolution in that career. He was getting more money, making bigger ties, you know what I mean? And people were seeing that, so it kept people interested because he kept growing, you know what I mean? And when people see that, they stay intrigued. But like you said, if 5 years went down the road and you're still in the same neighborhood rapping about the same shit, there's going to be a point where like, cool, on to the next, you know?
Right. Definitely. So, okay, every time one of you Northerners comes on this podcast, it becomes a whole
Northerners.
You like I said that? It becomes like a controversy, but I feel like the controversy never really seems like it's coming from the Northerners. Like once in a while, there'll be some little sub disses thrown on their Instagram story or whatever that people will draw attention to. But for the most part, it kind of feels like you guys get a lot of grief, a lot of bias against you, but it's not necessarily something that y'all seem so concerned about.
Yeah, I've been seeing. I mean, I watch you watch what's going on with the new generation, the internet and stuff like that, and I think we move different. There's no reason to. I know it'd be more entertaining for you. I'm sure you would love to hear us to come up and say a lot of this stuff, but you know, it's cool being.
But really, if you don't, that's a lot simpler for me as well.
I mean, it is what it is, bro.
Right.
Like, cause you know, in this beyond music, it's real life, man. People got to deal with the real repercussions outside of this, man. So when you understand that, you move different. Anything you say will be used against you in the court of law. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be a little more reserved. Think about what you're putting out there. Everyone knows what time it is that's involved, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean? And you know, even me coming out here, bro, I know where I'm at. I don't need to come out here disrespectful and disrespect anybody. You know what I'm saying? I move strategic. I actually come out here a lot. I have business partners out here. I come out here with my old lady. We go sit down and have nice dinners out here. I don't really trip on that. I don't move I know how to move. I don't just pop up in any neighborhood and be like, yeah, I'm out here, this and that. But you know, I don't come out here disrespectful, you know, and we got a different mentality now. If push comes to shove, we obviously know what time it is. But on that level, yeah, I don't got nothing too much of a cool story for you on that, bro. We just be reserved a little bit, you know?
No, totally. And honestly, that's kind of the feeling that I got from the Lazy Boy interview. I was kind of expecting him to maybe like talk a little more shit. He didn't really go for it. Rico Too Smooth, super respectful and just like really handled himself like a G on that song, on that interview and everything. Bands was kind of like talking his shit a little bit more. Maybe he was getting a little bit with it.
My brother. Right
he was having a little bit more fun with it. But for the most part, it feels like that's not necessarily.
I just don't know why Bands, my boy. Why did you smell the Fifi, man? Why did you smell the Fifi, bro? Other than that, bro, shout out to my.
He was on one. I don't know, but yeah, it feels like it's not a conflict that you guys are necessarily like trying to antagonize. Whereas it does feel like a lot of other people kind of enjoy using it for YouTube content and whatnot.
It works. It works. You know, it works. Hey, bro, I ain't mad at it. Do your thing. If it works for you and it's running your numbers up, go after it. But like I said, this should be real life outside of here, man. Sometimes, and a lot of people don't move outside their section. I don't know the individuals out here, and some individuals, a lot of people kind of stay in their own realm. Me, I move around a lot. I'll pop out in a different state. I've been out the country. I just move around a lot. So I know, like, I'm more liable to bump into people than some people that never leave their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
And just as somebody who's kind of older, how do you view those sort of conflicts going on up north and everything, like, is it like, how do you try to guide like a person away from like getting too deep into that, especially as somebody who's just like seen a bigger and better version of life? Like, but meanwhile, like, it's kind of hard for you to fully preach to someone when, you know,
I won't do that. I won't do that, preach them, guide them away. It's more like I said, trying to show them. Sometimes, bro, some people are, and I will never do this to like disrespect any of my brothers, you know what I mean? Like, there's been a lot that goes behind this. All I do is try to show them a different way of living. Like I said, I've never turned my back on my people. You know what I'm saying? I never sit there and said, don't do this, don't do that. I've never been that dude. So if that's how they feel, hey, I'm not gonna tell them any different. You're a grown man, you know what I mean? Feel how you feel. If you feel like you've been disrespected, do what you feel is necessary. Now, we're free to make that choice, but like I tell you, we're not free of the consequences of that. You know, if that's where you want to direct your energy, do it, bro. You know, but if you want to try to get some money and try to build something, like you said, you got to move a little different. Now, if something does happen, remember, everything you're putting out is documented. You're talking, you're saying this. Now, if something does happen, they're going to use I'm sure you've probably seen this, is doing that shit, they'll bring up all that shit in evidence, man. So I'm more on that mindset. You know, it's fun and games online until some shit really go down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wonder if up north it feels like the cops are a little bit more oppressive than they are up here, because sometimes I'm like, I lived for 8 years in New York City, and I'm just dumbfounded by how intense the policing is out there. Yeah. Is that the vibe up north a little bit more too, where it feels like the cops are really like on shit?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think they do. Like, I even seen you posted on your story about GB. You seen what happened to my brother GB.
Right, because we were just starting to talk to him and stuff.
My brother GB, man.
Yeah, we were just talking about doing an interview with him and stuff, and then he gets this big ass indictment.
Yeah. So stuff like that, you know, and I just, you know, GB Bell, he's out, man. I just had to sit down with him and we talked about that stuff. Because the thing is, he does a lot of positive stuff. Right. He's grown so much as a man too, and he does a lot of things for the community. It's crazy how much has evolved, but it still doesn't matter, bro. They'll still wrap you up with everyone else, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. This has been a topic that has been kind of going on the meme pages and all that over the last few days. Do you have kids?
Yeah.
How many kids?
I got 2 and a stepson, yeah.
Okay.
So 3, yeah.
If your daughter one day brought home a black boyfriend, how would you feel?
But you know what? Like I said, I'm from the Bay, so we think different. I judge on the individual, not necessarily that. Right. Now, it's the individual. You come in disrespectful, you come in and I can see you're up to no good. I don't give a if you're white, black, Mexican, any of that, bro. You're a piece of shit, dude, I can tell. You come in respectful, you a man, and you present yourself right, and I can see you got a head on your shoulders, but I'll shake your hand. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on the individual itself, man. I can't, you know, we all have, even I'm Mexican, I love my culture, but we have fucked up people just like every other race, bro. We got, just each person is case by case, man. So the race card don't fly with me. It's the individual. You know what I'm saying? And
especially like, I feel like you got to meet your kids on a logical level at a certain point, and I feel like in this modern TikTok climate, telling your daughter that she's not allowed to date whoever the she wants to date, like based on their race and not their character. To me, like you're kind of asking to create a rift between your kid right there, because your kid is most likely not going to have the same prejudices that you have, you know. So I'm on board with you for sure. It's about the individual.
I understand the old school way of thinking, and sometimes it transpires to the new generation, and up here it is a little different politics. You know what I'm saying? I think it's been separated more than we have been. So I could understand, not agree, but understand why certain people think that way, because it's been instilled in them. You know what I'm saying? Us out there, we've been a melting pot. Like I said, we've been around. I grew up with black people. I grew up with white people. You know, some of my good homies I've done business with are you know, black and white. So I don't look at it as that. It's just each person, man. If I sit down with you and I can tell you a solid person, I could just read you. I could read somebody in the first 10 seconds of sitting down with you. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I need to know.
Because it all has to do with how much you read into somebody's race as part of their identity. Because hypothetical situation, if you were to tell me that there's, like, you know, fathers in Palestine who don't want their daughters to date an Israeli, yeah, I get it.
That's more religion.
Y'all are killing each other.
That's more of religion than race.
Right, but like we kind of like, as Americans, we're kind of like more accustomed to the idea that your race does not necessarily define your character or what side you're on, etc. That there's a lot more to it. We have a more nuanced view of it, I guess.
Yeah. You have kids?
3.5-year-old daughter.
Okay. So when she was, say she's 20 years old, what would your feelings be?
I mean, same thing you said. It's like if the guy seems like he's a good guy, if he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, for sure, I'll fuck with it. If he comes in with on some cocky, egotistical shit, that's like a dad's fucking worst nightmare.
Yeah, if he comes in all pilled out and
exactly,
like he got a pistol on his waist or something, like, I know I've been around this shit too long. He's not with my daughter, man.
Yeah. My worry would just be like, is she going to take you serious when you tell her that? Or is she going to decide to go full rebel?
And really, that's up to you and me, how we raise them. Like, I'm blessed. My daughter's 17 years old. She's a good kid, honor roll student, got her job. She got her head on straight, you know what I'm saying? And blessed. It could be luck of the draw, but that's up to us to instill that in them.
But do you feel like she has any kind of like lurking fascination with the street stuff that you come from?
The opposite.
Right.
I tripped out on that. I figured she would have.
Some percentage of kids are just going to reject it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool. Like, you know, she don't glorify that. She's just like, that's when we go out and people take pictures, they just step back. You know, they're not intrigued with. I think they've been used to it. I've been in the game a long time. They're used to it, so it's not such a big deal to them. You know what I mean? But if I was young and my pops is a superstar like that, I probably would have been hella juiced. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah.
But has she ever like told you like, hey Dad, I watched this little YouTube video saying this about you?
All her friends, her friends, they're probably gonna see this and tag her, and she's like, all my friends are playing, you know, for sure, yeah. But I don't think she that doesn't get to where I'm telling you, she's a smart girl. I'm proud of her, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Because I mean, so much of the stuff that my parents were into, I just basically rejected or didn't give a fuck about. My parents loved all these sports teams that I didn't care about.
I like sports, man. I grew up playing, I love sports too, man. So I'm a Niner. And, you know,
certain things just don't hit though. Like, you know, a lot of people don't necessarily go with the religion that their parents present to them. You know, like myself. But like, you know, that's.
What religion are your parents?
They were Christian, like growing up, but then it kind of felt like as time went on, they sort of fell back from it, and then I was never really into it in the first place.
It was the black sheep just rebelling?
For sure. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so I got to mention the haircut. It's like, and it's not just the Mexicans are doing it too, because shout out to Stockton, all them, they got the shag haircut with the little puff down here and everything. When I had Chito Ranas on here, he has a super technical, elaborate version of this haircut. What is the origin of, they say, and for the people who can't see it, it's kind of like, it's you got some length on the top, but then there's like a shaved part, and then you go into like an elaborate tail type thing. Like, what is the origin of that? Has it always been around?
I've had my hair cut like this for 25 years. I don't know. This shit don't even grow. It's been the same. I posted a video the other day when I was 17 and my tail was still just as long. But back then, a lot of homies were wearing Mongolians. They used to be like a circle on top of the head. And in my little section, like if you was wearing a Mongolian, you'd get violated. Our little gang unit and probation officer, like you got a Mongolian, you violated. That was a little thing. So we thought we had a little loophole. We thought we were slick little kids. We're just gonna put a tail on the bottom of the head. It used to be called a bar tail. I used to run it across the whole back of my head and let that thing bang. And I don't know about the origin. I just been rocking it, and I seen it come back recently, which is kind of cool because I've been rocking this hairstyle for a long time, bro. And I see a lot of youngsters rocking it now, you know what I mean? So
was there a time period where you felt like a lot of people were just confused by it in terms of younger kids? And now it's a little more.
I would say, yeah. I think people used to have like the little rat tails, I think, in the middle, but not all the way across the back like that. I don't. To be honest, I didn't pay attention to it that much. I know we get weird looks, people looking at like, what the f***'s on the back of your head? You know what I mean? And that's something that gives fuel to people out here, like, man, the fucking ponytail, this and that. But it's been our style, man. We just been rocking with it, and I feel like that's been my. If I lose that, that's my mojo gone. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I haven't looked into the whole style as a whole. It's just how we rock things, bro.
But do you view it as like a little bit of an indicator of you being proud of being from up north because it's kind of more of a signature haircut?
Yeah, you could say that because, and I never thought of it that way either. But you could obviously tell, you know what I mean? But then again, I don't know. You just mentioned some names from people down here have it, so maybe it's not so true no more.
Right. Okay. I saw something pretty up from my perspective, but I gotta mention it, is that I saw a photo of a rapper who made a shirt. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but it said on the shirt, "All my ops are dead," and one of the photos was of Woodie. Yeah. That to me struck me as like extremely disrespectful. How do you view that type of thing?
It's a new YouTube generation, you know what I mean? Like, now, if you were responsible for those deaths, I could see you making a statement. Hey, you know, I'm trying to look for clout off of it. What I'm seeing off of it, you know what I'm saying? So if it's not someone that's in our direct line of fire. Like if this is people that we're in arm's reach and we're right here in the same section, and maybe they are, I don't know. I don't even know who they are, to be honest with you. I just seen people saying that to me. To me, that's a new way of internet trolling. I'm used to that. People comment disrespectful stuff on our stuff. I've seen Photoshop stuff. So to me, it's just a new way of doing it. Of course, it's disrespectful. I believe in bad energy attracts bad energy. But I'm not going to comment too much on that. It was cute. You know what I'm saying?
It's just like a different version of disrespect that the younger generation has kind of cooked up, and it's sort of bizarre to see them like reaching back into like prior generations to deceased legends.
I mean, it's a YouTube generation.
Right.
Let me show you what I'm doing so I can run it up. I'm sure it might have benefited them nice on some views and some controversy. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Okay, I seen you doing the podcast thing and getting more into the overall media space. Where did the desire to do that come from?
It kind of goes back to where I would have these talks with my young homies. And rest in peace to my brother Lace, but he would call me Coach Tone. Here he goes on his shit, man, because I would try to like, bro, come on, like, some homies don't have it instilled in them where they don't want to get no money, whatever. I'd always be speaking like that. So I started doing that on my social media. We always use the voice, whether it's through music, through content. And now that we started doing the podcast, me and my brother A-Wax right here, man, we started doing it. And we're trying, I think you mentioned this on your show with Rico. We don't have too many platforms up north that helps put our people on, you know what I'm saying? And just our people as a whole, anything up north. We have Thizzler, we have Shimo, we have very select few that do that. I'm like, why don't we just try to build this platform? You had to start somewhere, right?
Right.
How many subscribers did you, when you started, how many subscribers did you start with?
I mean, I already had something going on in the BMX world, so I had a little bit of a platform where I knew if I started fucking with these underground rappers that I would have some people watching, but I mean, my earliest interviews definitely had like 1,000 views, a couple thousand views.
Yeah, we just launched it. We just started, I think we just barely launched our page. We just monetized, like a week ago? We just barely started, you know what I mean? We've done a few, but as far as like really putting a podcast on the page, we just started. And same thing, we already have people paying attention. We already got somewhat of a thing going. Let's utilize this, build a platform. We have a lot of respect in our community with our people. Who's better to do it than us? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Besides the Game Podcast, tune in.
Yeah. So, who's the best guest from your perspective that you've had? And do you prefer to have conversations with people like outside of your usual circle, or do you enjoy doing the sort of like boss talk with somebody like Rico, who's doing stuff that you've done? You guys are both like part of the same lineage in a way. So
we're trying to build with our foundation up front. I'm working with people who's comfortable, that I know off top. We have to build somewhere. That's our foundation. Let's build with the people we already work with. We know we're already well acquainted with these individuals, and just when me and Wax sit there and talk, me and him bounce game off each other so much that we kind of create our own. Sometimes we don't even need a guest, but it's like let's involve new people. So I can't even say a favorite. We only had, how many guests we have so far, Brody? Like 3, 4. Yeah, like shit. I've had we just GB. We just did an interview with GB. He's about to drop. My boy Track Money P about to drop. We did Rico. I'm drawing a fucking blank. I don't know why. Lazy. We did Lazy Boy was our first one. Rico and why am I drawing a fucking blank, bro? D. And D Cisneros, my boy D Cisneros. Shout out my brother D. Yeah.
From your perspective, what does Northern California need to keep growing and succeed? Like I said in that interview that it would be great if the North had 10 Thizzlers, which when I think about it, that is kind of like a lofty goal, because it's like there's only going to be as many media platforms as there are things to cover, So it's like if there was 1,000 rappers popping off from Northern California, maybe there would be 10 Thizzlers. But from your perspective, what holds Northern California back?
And just my opinion, I feel like artists need to step their life up before the music. People are trying to, like you said, use the beefing and the shit as a crutch, you know what I'm saying? People, in my opinion, respect success. So when you mention other artists that elevated, they started with that, and as they evolved and became bosses and they built their life up, people follow them more. If you're just dependent solely on the drill shit and this and that, it's gonna cap out, you know what I mean? So I think that's the mentality of us, is just keep showing how tough we are. And I'm not saying just Northern Cali, just in the youngsters in rap, you know what I'm saying? Now in Northern California, man, what would be your opinion? Let me ask you that. What is holding Northern California back from really taking off?
I mean, I feel like LA is going through a lot of the same problems, honestly, is that just like it's a very regional sound. Some of the beats and stuff don't necessarily translate so well to the rest of the country, but there's scenes all over the country that have that problem. If I were to play you a bunch of Bronx drill right now, you might be like, yeah, that's cool. Like that's dope. They're doing their thing. But like sonically, I'm pretty sure that your ears would reject it because you've been, brought up in a different culture and like a different style of production and stuff makes sense to you. A different flow makes sense to you. And I feel like that's kind of the unfortunate part about where rap is at, even though it is good as well, is that it's just so regional at this point. But like we do a ton of Chicago content. When you really look at the last 10, 14, et cetera, years of Chicago drill music, how many people can we look at as like real superstars that emerged from that? To me, it's basically 3 people. It's like Chief Keef, King Von, and Lil Durk. So that's like arguably the biggest scene in America in terms of hip hop over the last 10 years, and you can only think of 3 people who really like emerged to be like big ass stars. And I feel like that's really what Northern California needs. It's just more dudes who kind of like emerge as huge stars to the point where then the fans want to figure out everybody else adjacent to them. To be honest, I feel like EBK J-Bo has the most potential right now to be somebody like, to me, he's like the Chief Keef of Northern California. And granted, a lot of that is because he's talking about some extremely real shit, and the fact that Stockton is a fucking war zone right now is a big part of it. But I like musically, from my perspective, he's got what it takes. He needs to keep his ass out of jail.
I feel that. But tell me this, you've been around long enough. How many times have this circulated? We've seen Bronx have its time in the beginning. You've seen New York, go back to like Biggie and all that time, right? We've seen Atlanta, Little John throwing elbows. We've seen LA, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. We've seen the Bay Area, the E40s and the Andre Nicotina's and the people paid too short, you know what I'm saying? It's been circulating, comes full circle. So I ain't gonna lie, I think it is gonna come back eventually in Northern California. It may not be one, it may be, it may not be, but there's gonna be somebody from Northern California that pops is gonna be the next one up. It just comes full circle. We've seen all those areas. Right now it's Chicago, Detroit, very hot music scene. But like I said, you've been around a long time. How many times have you seen it come full, just go around from different regions? Right. Each region has their time where they're like on fire. You know what I'm saying? And
even like, just in terms of there being like big Mexican rappers, we're still kind of, it feels like in the early stages of that. I think
Texas got
looking at Texas, I'm saying, I feel like OT, that Mexican OT is like emerging as like a massive star on a level that we maybe haven't even seen before. And there's like a lot of other like really good indicators that's like, that the Mexican community is kind of like finding their voice and their identity through the music more than we've seen before.
For sure, no, for sure. I think they got a good thing going in Texas right now, man. And bros kicked open some doors. When I seen him sitting on Joe Rogan, you know that was a huge like, oh shit, that's a milestone.
But he has the personality to support that, which is very fucking rare.
But that's everything. You can't just be a rapper. You have to have the whole image. You have to have everything. It's been like that. Who cares about just a rap? Like back in the day when all you heard was just a voice and you didn't know the image, it was different. Now people have to like you more than the actual rap. And if they like you and you got talent, that's how you win. You know what I'm saying? That's where people solely depend on. They're just in the studio, but they don't focus on anything outside of that. Focus on your image. That's why I was going back. Boss your life up. People got to see something. And if you ain't on that level, be a personality that people love. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Do you think that the North-South divide holds California as a whole back?
Not really. That's just a small, there's billions of people in the world, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's just a small section of people. You know, we only got California is a small section compared to the world. You know, a lot of these big artists you mentioned, they're capitalizing on millions and millions and millions of streams. Only a small section of that is California. Now, mind you, it does transpire into different states. There is this stuff, like, you know, we just went to Washington. That shit was active as I'm like, man, Washington was going crazy. You know, it does transpire into other states, but still, at the end of the day, there's a small percent of people. So if you could hold your own, you don't need the support from here or there or the hate. You know, you don't need that if you could just become a big artist. You know, because every artist that blows up has ops. Name one artist that doesn't have opposition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. I mean, that, like, you know, it didn't hold back all those rappers from Chicago that I just named, that there's like, you know, many hoods out there that have like crazy intense rivalries with them. It's all just about being smart and moving the right way. And I think it's also about like embracing the talent early on, because even just like when we're just talking about Stockton, I mean, like there's multiple rappers from out there and shit who realistically could have been huge. Brisk could have been huge.
Yeah, Stockton's gangland.
Yeah.
I think Brisk was from Sac, though.
Yeah, he was from Sac, but he was like super tapped in with the whole EBK and everything.
Something different too,
right.
man. And them, like you said, you mentioned Mozzie, and you got, you know, CML. You know, you got two different spectrums right there. You know what I mean? Both respected individuals, but who you rocking with? I don't involve myself in Sacramento politics. I'm not from out there, but I know people that do. Like when people are like, you get smoked for bumping the wrong dude in Sacramento. You know what I'm saying?
But would you be? You'd have to be cautious about who you'd even do a song with,
for sure,
from out there, because as soon as you choose a side,
you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings, regardless. Yeah. If I do a song with this person, I might hurt this person's feelings. Now, if it's somebody I with that's close to me, I'll choose the people I with. Even if I don't have personal issues with them, I won't disrespect my people by doing that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's always like that. Rap beef politics is always, it's a chess game, bro.
Definitely. Feels like for a lot of people it's probably advantageous to just not affiliate yourself, but that's got to be tough too. You want to make music with the people you like, and it's going to be tough to.
I think it's actually easy if you can hold your own weight. Like I said, I don't need to be the big rap star. My catalog does really well for myself. My businesses do well for myself. I don't really need to ride this rapper's coattail. Need to do that. So if you build yourself up enough, you don't need to do that. You can just hold your own weight. You know what I'm saying?
100%. So what else you got going on, or like what are your focuses at this point in your life, business wise, family wise, etc.?
I mean, there's always the hunt to grow. You know, we still. I think all of us try to figure it out. Like, yes, I'm very content with what we've done, and I'm still trying to figure it out, man. What's the next move? You know, we've done good. Supporting the family, we're making money, we're doing well. What's next type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? I keep dabbling in different investments. I win some, lose some. And right now I'm trying to figure out what's the next thing. Like, I don't know if you ever feel that way. You've been doing this podcast thing for a long time. Like, are you very just content, this is all I want to do and retire, or is there something else? You know what I mean? I'm the same thing. Do I want to just kick back and chill, or do I want to figure it out?
Right.
So I'm kind of in that, like, hey, trying to figure out what I want to do next type of stuff.
I'll have weeks where, you know, I do 10 podcasts in a week, and then at the end of the week, I'm just forced to like think about the fact that like, yeah, you were grinding, like working the business that you've created for yourself, but you didn't even have 10 minutes to think about what the future might be. And that could be really hard. It's like to balance this like machine that you have going right now while also thinking about what might be coming down the pipe. Like, for instance, I didn't see the TikTok shit happening. You know, I was a late arrival to realizing that this app was going to have a huge impact. And if I hadn't had anything going on, like I always look at TikTok and just think, if I had nothing going on when TikTok came out, if I wasn't already a YouTuber, I would have been the TikToker of the, you know, I would have been going so hard on TikTok.
Just going back to catching early.
But I didn't, because I already had the YouTube thing going. And from my perspective, it's like, well, I'm making actual money on YouTube. I'm not going to go TikTok for free. Which granted, like even if you are super successful on TikTok, you're damn near TikToking for free because the money sucks.
But YouTube was the same way. YouTube back in the day, they would steal our music, put on YouTube. I'd be hot. Who put our music on YouTube? I'd be pissed off. Now we're like, cool, dude, monetizing all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
And that's one of my biggest regrets, is that I used to make videos that were kind of like vlogs in like 2006, and then we didn't stick with it because I didn't see any money off it. I didn't really understand that you could really build an identity for yourself on the platform. And if I had got that earlier, it would have been crazy. You know?
See, somebody like we got in our area, we got like Empire Records. My brother Ghazi, he seen that vision before anybody. You know, he was like, hey man, I'm doing this distribution company. I'm like, so you doing CDs? He's like, man, fuck CDs, MP3s. I'm like, people were still burning from Napster and stuff like that. And he seen that vision 10 steps ahead, man. And you know, catching that wave early is how you win, man. And now what is it? What's the next wave? We don't know what's gonna be, but if you could think 10 steps ahead, that's where it's gonna be, man. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah, brother.
All right. Anything that you want the people to keep an eye out for?
Man, just I mean, we still just dropping, bro. I do got a new project, new album, man, and at this point, man, I'm still dropping. We still get a lot of love. I'm gonna keep dropping until it's like, bro, that's it, it's done. But I put a lot of, you know, I stick to the script, man. We got a lot of love and support. Doing the podcast game, me and AWAX, two sides of the game, man, and I'm trying to transfer into that. I just got into the acting thing. I did my first movie. I'm in Splash City. That's coming out, I believe, in November. Man, I got a good partner there.
Nice.
Man, shout out to Four Waves Entertainment and Burner for giving my opportunity for that. So I might try to venture into that avenue. You know what I mean? I do have another role in another movie that I just got a script for, so that's going to be kind of cool to play that, see how that plays out. And then other than that, bro, just working, man, doing the same shit, trying to figure out the next business move, just keep evolving, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Find the next play to chase after, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Much respect. You've been doing it for a long time, but you definitely seem like you always kept it solid, and you're a good inspiration for the up and coming Northern California generation. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, man. This is big. It's big for our people. You know, you're doing a lot for us, so I want to say I appreciate you, and hats off for having us here, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Big Tone,
Yes,
my
sir.
guy. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, Instagram. Like, comment, subscribe.
Boom.
We out. Appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you, man.